Episode 22 of the 30 and 10 podcast is live. What's going on, guys? I'm Nate. That's Brian. It's my right. As you can tell, not a lot of enthusiasm. Because let's be honest, it was a rough weekend for us from a sports perspective. But let's just start off with life. Brian, how you doing? How you feeling about life outside of
I mean,
sports?
I'm not hungover anymore, so that's nice.
Okay. Your seats weren't that bad from what you sent me.
No,
About
no, they were good. They're good. Just too bad I was watching absolute garbage in front of me. Like, I don't like leaving events early. I don't. I like staying till last out, last minute. That was the earliest I've ever left a Giants game. All right, after Daniel Jones threw that pick six, like beginning of the fourth quarter, I looked at my dad and we looked at two guys we were with, and we just got up and left. We're like, we can't do this anymore. This is bad for our health. Let's just go in the parking lot. At least there's beer out there.
There was no need to say a word to each other. You just looked at each other and said,
Like it's not gonna win. It's over. And well, more on Daniel Jones coming up in a minute. But yeah, no, terrific weekend for us sports fans.
definitely. Yeah. Honestly, I'm grateful that week one has passed. Obviously great to see football back on our screens. Last night's game, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so Monday night was a pretty solid game between the Niners and the Jets. Week one all kicked off on Thursday with the Chiefs and the Ravens. That was a good game. The Eagles Packers game was phenomenal as well. Prayers to Jordan Love. Hopefully he gets better soon. For not just the team but for fans' sake, because there's no way they're gonna survive with Malik Willis under center, but we'll get to that later on as well. So, but yeah, we'll start the show with the Vikings and Giants review, followed by some other Giants news. We'll break down our takeaways from week one. We'll end the show with some college football. And to not to add salt to the wound, but not only did the Giants lose, but some issues with the Fighting Irish. I'm sure that Brian has some things to say. So
Oh yeah.
we'll dive on to that um right now actually. So look, here's the thing. Okay, at least it wasn't bad like last year, but it was pretty darn close. At least we scored 6 points.
That's no, no, no. We're not. No, this was the worst possible, right? Without question. This was the worst start to this season because at least last year there was a positive. All right, they had the really, really good start before the missed field goal and everything got blocked. They started off being really good.
Mhm.
This team was just dead from the beginning. All right, no hype, no fight, no nothing. It was just a dead team walking. And it's not like the Vikings played a good game at all. Right, the Vikings played pretty poorly. The Giants were so bad that it made it look like the Vikings had they got everything figured out. No, they don't. We're just so over that it means nothing. It literally means nothing anymore. All right, it's another year down the drain.
Look, and here's the thing: the offense, like last year, right? You mentioned that they got off to a great first drive. I mean, they drove down the field. Unfortunately, they got the field goal blocked, but this time, this is a chance to redeem themselves and show fans like, you know what, we're wearing our new Century Red uniforms. It's the 100th season. Let's get off to a great start. That first drive, what? Oh, it's a 2-yard run by Singleton. Jones found then he threw it to Singleton on second down. He slipped for a -6-yard gain, a delay of game penalty, incomplete pass. They had to punt the ball. But here's the thing: we got the ball back because the defense they got the ball back. They caused the fumble. Andrew Phillips. So we'll get to him when we talk about defense. He caused the fumble. Okereke recovered. The ball's at their own at Minnesota's 20-yard line. That's when I was like, okay, maybe this is it. Same crap. We couldn't score a touchdown. They kicked the field goal. We talked about it before. We didn't want the Giants to start the season with the field goal because they always do this crap to us every single year. And yet that never changes, Brian. And you were at the game, and obviously we're not, you do not pay your hard-earned money to watch punts. After that field goal, punt, 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 field goal, interception for a touchdown, punt, another interception, turnover on downs, and punt. So I don't know how much your tickets were, but you wasted your hard-earned money
Money
for.
wasted. Yeah, money was wasted this weekend. Absolutely wasted. Like again, you buy tickets for Giant game. Your goal was to stay there till the fourth quarter, right? To the end of the game. We didn't even make it much past the third because it was that much over.
Mhm. And once
And it
that pick
wasn't
six
just
happened.
it wasn't just me. It was the entire stadium leaving. All right, the bridge to go down MetLife Stadium was filled. It looked like the end of the game because all Giants fans were done. All right, and they're done with the Daniel Jones experience. Okay, it's over. This kid cannot play quarterback. He is a bad quarterback because there's no excuse anymore. The offensive line played solid, all right? We have number one receiver. Neighbors looked decent. Hyatt wasn't on the field for some reason. Even if you look at the pick six, not the pick six, the interception he threw to Darius Slay late in the game, there were four Vikings defenders on him, all right? He had Wan'Dale Robinson wide open in the corner of the end zone. Why is that ball not thrown to him? He's making mistakes that a rookie's making. It's year six. All right? Enough. There's one thing that hasn't changed. It's Daniel Jones. All right? And if we had to sit here and watch Daniel Jones for the next 2 more weeks, it's going to cause problems in his fan base. All right? I was already chanting for Tommy DeVito, but by the time the third quarter came around, all right? Because I was done. I can't watch this guy anymore. I'm not going to sit here and defend like he's good anymore. He's not, all right? Not. Bench him and let's move on already.
I promised myself I wouldn't yell today, but thank God you're here. Thank God you're here. I
Because it's
we
ridiculous. It's the same thing over and over again. And every year it's like, well, actually, Jones has weapons this time. Jones has a line this time. There's one thing that we're not, mentioning. It's that Daniel Jones sucks. Should never been taken six overall. He should be, selling burgers right now or selling insurance because he's not an NFL quarterback.
Jones went 22 of 42, 186 passing yards, two interceptions, zero touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times, but like you mentioned, it wasn't the offensive line's fault. Jones was charged with 3 of those sacks. And usually QBR is a very important stat in football, so that's something I try to focus on a lot more. When I'm looking at statistics and stuff like that, I've never seen a quarterback have a QBR of less than 20 until I met Daniel Jones because he finished with a 16.8 QBR. That's definitely the worst I've ever seen in my life by any quarterback in the National Football League. And here's the thing: it's not like offensively it was all negative. You just mentioned Neighbors played pretty well, 5 catches, 66 yards. Like that just shows that he's quarterback proof. Like no matter who's throwing him the football, he will produce as long as he's targeted. Wan'Dale Robinson, 6 catches, 44 yards. He's promising. He's
Yeah.
fine. No issues with him whatsoever. O line was fine too. Andrew Thomas had the best pass blocking grade out of all the linemen that played this past week. So that's fine. The rest of the offensive line were playing pretty solid as well. Of course, some stuff to work on, but nothing too crazy concerning. But we might as well just skip all the stuff. I, according to Brian Dable, after watching all the film, he said no. And what I mean by that is there will be no change at quarterback heading into week 2. He will stick with the signal caller, apparently. When asked if he was going to bring in another quarterback, he said no. Everyone's rallying around Daniel. They've seen him work hard at practice in the film room. John Runyon Jr. says, I think we all trust him and believe that he will bounce back. Okay. You gave your piece.
The wait his bounce back for 5 years now. It's
It's
not
been
coming.
it's 5 years. And here's the thing. This is year 3 and I understand that we haven't had a Giants coach survive past like 2 years. They are literally fighting for their jobs if Dable continues to keep playing Jones. I was talking with my buddies the same night, on Sunday night, and they asked me, it's like, why do you keep supporting Jones? Am I saying I support him now? No. I know I've said before I've supported, I will continue to support him, until he's no longer the Giants quarterback. But you can't play like that. You can't go into this game and think that, this is 2022. It's not, dude. You don't have Saquon. And matter of fact, the whole Saquon thing, I'm glad he ran for 3 touchdowns in Philly because he couldn't do that here. Do you remember in Hard Knocks when that one scout
Salt,
was
that was salt in the wound. What are you talking about? That was
exactly?
salt in the wound. That was not good at all. I felt nothing good for Saquon. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you. Where was this last year?
Well, he didn't. There's no offensive line is definitely much better in Philly compared to.
It's definitely weaker than it has been in the past. You saw it. The tush push didn't work.
But here's the thing. Do you remember in Hard Knocks, Brian, when Shane was talking with his scouts, and the one scout was like, "What's our identity?" You know, when Saquon's gone, if Saquon does leave, this is before Saquon signed with the Eagles, but he was like, "What's our identity?" If Daniel's our quarterback, he relies on the run game, uh, and stuff like that. And now, if you think about it, it's like now I know. Now, for me, I was like, I know what that scout meant because this is his first game without Saquon Barkley, and he looked like this, and he's you can't rely on your first read all the time. You gotta you gotta look
Never.
around. You gotta look
Not even
around.
NFL. This is just a lesson for quarterback. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're in the NFL or if you're in Pop Warner. You cannot go off your first read. I don't. You don't mind throwing to your first read if it's open. But Daniel Jones, and he's done it last year, and he continues to do it, is staring down that first read. All right. I guarantee you, on that Slayton interception, he had his mind made up of I'm putting that ball in Slayton's hands before they broke the huddle. Right? That's the only way you throw into quadruple coverage.
I think the worst. So that was a bad interception as well. But that pick six, dude. You gotta be kidding me.
It made me leave the stadium. That's how bad it was.
Everyone knew it. Like the Vikings defense knew it. The fans knew it. They saw once that ball was snapped and Jones turned his head, that was gonna be picked because it's so easy to read. Like it was literally everyone knew it was going. I think the pass was to Wandale, if I'm not mistaken. It was to the right. I think it was to Wandale. But Andrew Van Ginkel picked that off so fast. In fact, he Daniel Jones was picked off in 1.16 seconds. That is the fastest interception in NFL history since last year when the same guy, Van Ginkel, picked off Sam Howell in 1.23 seconds. You know how insane it is to pick off a pass in 1.16 seconds? How insane that is? You know how bad you have to be? This is how bad this guy is. Look, the whole like, oh, he's coming off the ACL, stuff like that. You had the whole training camp to be so there's no excuse. And you
Mm-hmm.
said it, and you said it yourself. And for once, I think on this podcast, Brian Dable is to blame too, because you
Yeah.
said it. You told us that. I'm talking about to you specifically, Brian. You told
Yeah.
us that
It's Brian.
yeah, that the Giants should play the starters, especially Jones, in week two. No, week one,
Yeah.
week
All
two,
preseason they play.
all preseason. And look what happened. He didn't play the starters, especially Jones. It looks like shit.
Mm-hmm. You know, we did play their starters all preseason. Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, starting your preseason is going to equal NFL success. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it knocks the rust off and allows you to be, okay, this is what game action is going to look like. So it just gives you something else than just what practice is.
Mhm. And teams that make the postseason and actually have success in recent years deserve to rest their starters because they know what they can get from them. Teams like the Panthers the Giants, those teams need to play their starters because look what happens when you rest your look, just because you don't play your regular guys in the preseason doesn't mean okay, it doesn't guarantee that they'll get hurt if you do play them. Just put them out there, especially the Giants. What do you have to okay, the only guy that if we could go back in
Thomas
time
is the only guy that deserved not playing the preseason.
is
He earned it.
yeah, because he's the receiver number one, no matter how you put it. He's a first round pick. You literally unretired a number for him. He's the one guy that you can bench. Other than that, play everybody. Singletary, why does he deserve to be on the bench? Put him in there. Hyatt, Slayton, put him out there. Jones, oh, for sure. The offensive line, at least put him out there for a little bit. I mean, you need the chemistry to continue to grow. They played, like I said, they played pretty good on Sunday. 100%. Still put him out there. And we'll get to the defense as well. But Jones looked unsure, hesitant, same crap as always, escaped the pocket even when he had a good pocket, he still wanted to scramble out of there because he saw the rush coming. And after the game, he was like, yeah, I got to, do a better job staying on balance. What do you mean balance, dude? You saw the pass rush and you bail like you always do. You got to stay and throw the ball. That's what a quarterback does, man. You can't even do that. So it's like, and I understand, like, Giants fans are like, oh, we should have gone and get Jaden Daniels. We can't.
We couldn't have.
I know a
It
couple.
would have been a franchise altering move for the worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like Herschel Walker 2.0. Like you say it all the time, these fans like we should have drafted a quarterback. Who was
Who?
out there that would have been better than Daniel Jones on Sunday? McCarthy, that's towards ACL. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
At worst, the same. Like there's the reason just to pick the quarterback is not a way to do something. You have to pick the right guy. There was no right guy. So sure, we're stuck with Daniel Jones. I'm not blaming Joe Shane for not grabbing a quarterback. He tried. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not gonna reach for a quarterback. That's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, let's not act like he didn't try, and also the fact it's not that easy. And then, like the friends I spoke, I love my guys that I'm friends with. I love them to death. But they try to make it seem like, oh, either the offensive line or oh, you guys could have gone a quarterback. It's not that easy. It's not that easy to go up and trade the 2 or 3 to go to quarterback. What do you know? Risk your whole future, and they're like, what future? Guys, like, in all seriousness, you can't trade. 2 consecutive years of first round picks. It doesn't work that way. We're not the Rams. This team isn't like a quarterback away. Yes, a quarterback is a big concern, but we're not a quarterback away. It's not that easy. We're not the Niners. We're not the Raiders of to an extent. Yes, my guys are Raiders and Niners fans respectively. Don't ask me why I'm friends with them. I just school. I love them to death anyways, but the point is in general, Daniel Jones, he's not the answer. And it's like, when are we gonna when are we mean the Giants organization gonna learn that you just gotta move on. It's like being in a relationship where you're just trying to make it work. You're trying to make it work no matter what because you love him so much. But it's like it's not gonna work. No matter what you try, it's all gonna go down the drain. And for
Mm-hmm.
the Giants, they need to learn that soon. Because if we have to sit here every week, every Tuesday, okay, saying the same crap over and over again, it's not going to be fun. We've
No,
waited,
not at
we've
all.
waited months. We thought this team was different. We got a receiver number. We love Malik. This defense was supposed to be different. We'll get to them in just a second. But nothing's going to change if Jones is the quarterback for
No.
this whole season.
The Giants will never be a winning franchise again if Daniel Jones is underset.
Never. And, you know,
Sad because you want to win, you want to run your guys, but like, sorry, it's been 6 years, and we're seeing, if anything, regression from Daniel Jones.
oh, yeah, of course. And like in the 100th season, a memorable one for Giants legends, for the fans, paying their hard-earned money because they want to see this 100th version of this team succeed. And based off week 1, there's no hope. They saw what they saw and they're like, it's going to be the same thing like the 99th season, the no,
Any
not
season since the 90th.
yeah.
Every year. It's every year since Super Bowl 46. 2012 was good. 2016 was good. 2020, what? Two was
Mhm.
good. That was it. The only three good seasons the Giants have, and those are pretty much, you could say, mirages. 2012 was coming off the Super Bowl. They just missed the wild card spot. But you're like, all right, I don't know what the future of this team's going to look like, but hey, we have Coughlin, we have a young receiving core with Cruz and Nix and Ruben Randall. Like, all right, there's something here. Then it falls apart and we move on. Then we hire McAdoo, we make the playoffs, and all right, boom, future back up. And then, actually, aging quarterback, no run game, no offensive line. Yeah, that's a problem. Crash back down again. Then we do the same thing with Brian Dable and go, oh, wait, a quarterback that's pretty much overrated and, no offensive line and no real receivers. That's not going to work. We're one again. Like, we're just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's enough.
Okay, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but because I kind of wanted to save it before we for the end of the segment, but I might as well get into it now. If Jones performs the same way against Washington like he did against Minnesota in week 1, there's no way he starts week 3, correct, against Cleveland?
He can't start week 3 against Cleveland if that's the case, all right? Because with him out there, it's an automatic loss. He is so bad that defenses are not intimidated by him at all and know they can read him by a book. Like, I do not. If we put a team together and just watch Daniel Jones film, we could prevent them from scoring more than 10 points. It'd just be, all right, figure out where Daniel Jones wants to throw the ball and put 8 guys there because eventually he's still going to put the ball there.
Ivan Pace said it best for the Vikings, where he was like, "This is not going to be a challenge whatsoever to stop the Giants' offense." He was right.
He's 100% right.
He was so right. I remember Giants fans were like, "This is fuel for the to the fire, Giants. You better perform." Yeah, let's just the Vikings defense was they were pretty good. So obviously, as much as we want to bash Jones, there were some other concerns on offense that I want to dive into as well before we talk about Jones again. Jalen Hyatt, dude, 16 snaps. Dable said that he's the weird thing was that they, usually Brian Dable doesn't give players labels. And he straight up said, yeah, Jalen Hyatt is the third or fourth wide receiver. We have certain plays and roles for Jalen. This week was what it was. This may not be the same down the road, but this is how we wanted to go into week 1. Yeah. Ye-
What is Jalen Hyatt doing in practice that pissed off Brian Dable? Because clearly something's happening that we're not seeing, all right? Because there's no way you're punishing a young receiver like this who has so much upside, so much hype coming out of college. Don't forget, there were mock drafts when Jalen Hyatt were when the Giants were picking that draft, we're going to pick Jalen Hyatt in the first round. A lot of the praise that 2022 draft gets is because they got, Banks, JMS, and Hyatt were all projected to be first round picks for them in the first, second, and third round. That was a big part of the reason. So Hyatt has all this upside. Why are we not seeing it? What is he not doing in practice? What is he doing to not earn the trust of his coaching staff? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing I can think that makes sense of why you're putting a guy like Darius Slayton, who we know is at best a wide receiver 3 on any other team, at best. Why is he continuing to get snaps out there? And this guy with so much promise and upside is rotting on the bench. All right, that
Mhm.
means something's wrong.
It is definitely something wrong. And, we talked about it before. We're thinking like, who would the top 3 receivers be? And I think you said, you want it to be Neighbors, Robinson, and Hyatt. I wanted the same thing, I believe, as well. I think we can both understand why it is what it is as it was because, obviously Neighbors and Robinson are pretty clear as it is. It was just a matter of who's gonna take over that wide receiver number 2 spot since Robinson's in the slot. And the Giants decided, "Hey, let's go with Slayton because he's." I don't know why. I guess they trust Slayton more than Hyatt. Dable said they have like a special package of plays for Hyatt when he is in the game. Here's the thing, though. Now we're gonna go back to blaming Dable because you know in practice in the preseason and in camp, there was sort of a promise that we would see more deep balls down the field, that more deep plays down the field. This game, not Daniel Jones threw the ball 42 times. Not one of those throws went for more than 20 yards through the air. Where was where
Hmm.
was all this promise, this
Yeah. And if you have
optimism?
these special plays for Hyatt, you would think that when he's on the field, he's going to be like the main guy. Guy
Yeah,
had one target all game.
yeah. He's a
These
deep threat.
special plays you're not running.
He's a deep threat. Throw it. Just throw it.
They're down by multiple scores. Throw the ball down the field.
What's the worst that can happen? It's just
Oh my God, he got picked off. Well, he's already got picked off twice on 3-yard passes. At least an arm punt puts us in somewhat better position.
Look, if it's because Jones is scared at this point, well, like you just mentioned, he wasn't scared to throw a pick six. He wasn't scared of throwing a triple coverage. So it's like,
Is scared to throw the ball down the field, cut him. It's that simple. You can't be an NFL quarterback in today's day and age and be afraid to push the ball down the field. All the best quarterbacks in the league push the ball down the field.
Yeah, I don't care how much your confidence is shot. Just throw it. There's no harm in throwing it, man. That you just got to trust yourself. If you're in the NFL for a reason, you were paid 40 million a year for a reason. Just chuck it. It's not that hard. And well, for Jones, apparently it's too hard for him. So we'll cover him. We'll go back to him towards the end of the segment. But
Talk
let's
about the entire episode. It'll be Daniel
yeah,
Jones.
at this point. But hey, defense is also part of the game. But this is gonna rile you up even more because we made Sam Darnold look like a freaking franchise quarterback. 19 to 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But that interception was literally because he got hit as he was throwing it. So that doesn't really count.
Yeah, it happens. That happens.
It happens. When the Vikings kept him clean, he was tearing us up 14 to 15, 151 yards, had an 81.0 QBR for the whole game. Aaron Jones had a great game on the ground. We could not stop him whatsoever. 94 rushing yards and 14 carries. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches, 59 yards, caught a touchdown. So the best receiver in the game doing his thing. All Vikings pass catchers, though, had double-digit receiving yards. 8 of them caught the ball for at least 10 plus 10 or 11 receiving yards. So that was good to see for the Vikings offense. But the Giants defense, some positives, I guess, to start. Charlie Newman played well, 7
Yeah,
tackles. Dexter Lawrence, 40% pressure rate, led all defensive players.
exactly what we said he was going to do. Have a big game and get to that quarterback.
Yeah, that's sexy Dexy for you. Andrew Phillips caused that fumble. He played great. 84.3 Pro Football Focus grade. I'm proud of him.
First game too. No
Yeah,
nerves. The
no
two
nerves.
young secondary pieces who were like the big question marks showed
Yeah,
up. And good. That's awesome.
yeah. The rookie class, but Darius Muasu had the interception. Even though, like we said
Playing
it was.
second, he was playing the second string linebacker role the entire game, and
Yeah,
I loved him coming out of UCLA. So if this is a role from him,
yeah. Like he was great. And then there's the negatives because it's hard to find positives in this game in
positives
general.
already. Wow, it's been.
Yeah.
Let's just go. We've been talking for 30 minutes already. I think we've done positive for 5.
Um.
Positive was I wasn't hungover anymore.
That's actually a good thing. Thankfully, because if you were hungover, I think things would be pretty bad.
annoying right now. Dude. I'm so done with this.
We talked about it all summer, right? The pass rush was, the biggest key for this Giants team, especially from the outside linebackers and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, because the Giants do run a 3-4 defense. So that's why, we talked about the pass rush so much, because they would be on the edge getting to the quarterback. Brian Burns, 4 tackles. That's kind of it. No, not
He
much,
wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. Like he just had like that. Like, all right, cool. Brian
He just
Burns.
he, he was just out there, just making plays like he should. He was making plays an average NFL player should, but not to the level of a sign and trade type of pass rush player.
Yeah.
And I hate,
The one game, just getting used to it, like stuff like that. Like
yeah,
I'm willing to give him somewhat of a pass because he at least showed, like, all right, like I'm still hitting the quarterback. I'm still getting involved in this defense. Maybe he
hmm
just needs to find its footing a little bit more. It happens.
hmm and I hate to do this because I love him so much, but Kayvon Thibodeau, dude,
No, this is
0 tackles, 0 sacks, no pass deflections, 1 quarterback hit. Really?
unacceptable.
Really, man? A 38.9 Pro Football Focus grade. And he apparently was interviewed after the game and had the worst attitude I've ever seen from him. Because he was asked by a reporter, like, something about the pass rush. And he was like, all right, next question. Does anyone else have any questions?
Can't do that.
You can do
Can't do that.
that.
Not in New York.
This is New
That's what
York.
got Zach Wilson run out of New York, right? You want to know when
Hmm
the Jets fans gave up on Zach Wilson? It's after that Patriots game where he goes, "Was there something wrong with the offense?" He goes, "Wasn't my problem." That got him run out of New York. And I know pass rusher and the defensive edge is a little different than quarterback, but if you're gonna be just a complete negative and just not talk to reporters, give bad answers, and not take some accountability, I'm sorry, fans are gonna turn on you, and they
hmm
already are because we mentioned it in the prediction show last week. This defensive line can be great, but Kayvon Thibodeau needs to become a more consistent player in the pass rush, right? He has great games. He's had great games, but he also has games where he disappears. And we saw it on Sunday. He was a ghost out there.
hmm
Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts, all right, but, he was seeing Casper, not like some menace that he's terrified of.
he was able to handle Casper, the ghost, on Sunday against the Giants because, like we mentioned, he was kept pretty clean most of the game. Thibodeau wasn't causing pressure. And here's the thing: like when you're a defensive end, like when you're a pass rusher, you're in control. Like it's just you and the offensive line, man, that you're up against. You're in control. You just gotta make the hand moves, the finesse moves, power moves, whatever you got to do to get past them to get to the quarterback. If the quarterback gets rid of the ball before you get to him, that's not your fault. But you just got to get there faster. Thibodeau really did not cause any pressure. That one quarterback hit was probably the luckiest thing I saw. So yeah, that 2022 class of rookies,
Looking great. It's not
not
looking great.
nope. Thibodeau, Neal.
Neal's already gone. Thibodeau, like,
He's
and like he's still gonna get like probably a starter next season. Probably get his 5th-year option picked up because when he has shown he's good, it's like, oh my god, this guy's gonna be one of the next great NFL linemen, or
mhm,
defensive line, edge rushers.
yeah, like he's too
Every other game when he disappears, it's like, okay, where'd he go?
he's too good to have another bad performance like this next week. Like I fully expect him to bounce back in week 2 and use the motivation he's getting from the fans on social media criticizing him against Washington, as he should. But I don't want to come back and sit here and be like, oh, he had 3 sacks against Washington and be all positive because these are the Washington Commanders. These are the
Right, like
Commanders.
we're upset with Kayvon Thibodeau because we just want the consistency to come along, which it should in in year 3. We both know Kayvon Thibodeau has the potential to be a great pass rusher in this league. We've seen it. We've
Hmm
seen the flashes, and it's not like we try to hype us up with Daniel Jones. No, 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 no. We've seen Kayvon Thibodeau take over a football game and be an absolute game wrecker, right? That game
Hmm.
against the Jets comes to mind immediately because it felt like every single play I saw Kayvon Thibodeau in the backfield. I need that week in and week out, or at least I need you to show some pressure. I can't have you going from, Lawrence Taylor to a nobody.
It's just the attitude that he gave in that interview that kind of just ticked me off. Because, like you mentioned, this is New York. You can't have these answers, otherwise you're gonna get criticized even more, and it's gonna be a whole mess. So hopefully, bounces back week 2, plays well, and just continues to be a guy that the Giants can rely on in the pass rush. And just as long as this type of performance, like his best play, as funny enough, was a 16-yard fat face mask penalty. You can't have that, especially when you were first round, fifth overall pass rush guy that was selected in the first round.
Building block piece, and
Building
you're
block.
not playing like that right now at
Nope.
all.
And Minnesota's let's not act like Minnesota's offensive line is trash, but they're not that good. They should have got Burns and Thibodeau should have got to the quarterback. So linebacker rise, Okereke was normal, nothing
It's
too
fine.
out of the normal, but Micah McFadden was not in the field. We
Yeah,
mentioned
well, where
Moasu.
was that?
According to Brian Dable, he says he would have been or was on a pitch count, but because Darius Moasu was playing so well, that's why they didn't play McFadden.
So, like, his
Okay.
argument is he's just riding the hot hand, is what his argument is.
Yeah, but I think the
That
concern is
doesn't work
like,
when you have two starting caliber linebackers.
yeah, McFadden is a starter. We saw last year with Okereke, he was great. Now, and this is, we're not going to sit here and knock Moasu, of course, but at the same
No,
time, it's like at least play
that is,
McFadden.
yeah, he's a starter. Like,
Yeah,
if you want to say, like, if it was like Height and Slayton, like, we think Height's number 2. So,
yeah.
like, that if Slayton's having a better game, you want Slayton out there, I get it. You don't really know Hyatt yet. If Slayton's being the better starter, let him go. That is a starter, and you're letting this 6th-round pick start over him. Like, I don't care if he's hot or not. All right, you go with your starter until proven otherwise.
Hmm. All summer it was McFadden, and then week 1 comes around, and now it's Moasu.
Like, where did this happen?
Yeah, hopefully we'll see if this is a trend, but there's something to definitely monitor with the whole Moasu McFadden situation. But hey, if McFadden was injured at one point during the preseason in camp, so that may be why Dave was kind of precautious, but at the same time, at least play him on special teams. Like if you're not going to start him, at least play him on special teams, so at least he gets some playing time. But he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the only one that didn't get playing time. Isaiah Simmons, right? The whole money position, sub package defensive back and linebacker. Where was he? Not on the darn field. 0 snaps. No
I'm starting to
special.
think they just don't know how to use these guys. Like that's the only explanation I have is they just don't know how to use them.
We as in Dable or the Bowen?
Bowen and the defensive coaching staff, because Dable is really handle defense. It's kind of Bowen is like the leader and everything. Dable is the head coach, but he's pretty much offense.
Mm-hmm. And Bowen had a whole summer. He had the whole summer to figure this out. Still, I mean, Newton was the safety, safety, yeah, regular safety, and then for the money position, so the money linebacker position, went to Dane Belton. No issues there. It's just you kind of made this position for Simmons, and you didn't really play him. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then so I want to give my props to Deontay Banks, Adoree Jackson. They were fine. Banks was targeted 5 times, allowed 3 catches for 56 yards. Adoree Jackson, first game back, 2 catches, 9 yards allowed when targeted. So those guys were fine. Tyler Newman, Jason Pinnock, no issues with them whatsoever. They played well. So proud of Nubin. I love that. And you love him to death. I love him to death. Love that
Mhm.
guy. All summer long, before we got Adore, it was Cordell Flood on the outside. All
Yeah.
summer long. Andre Phillips was in the slot. Phillips played well on Sunday. Caused a fumble. Phillips played 16 snaps, as you saw. How many did Cordell Flott play? I don't know. 37. You know how many played in the slot? 20 snaps in the slot. So let me get this straight. You just said that the Giants don't know how to use their players. You put a guy who practiced all summer, prepared all summer on the outside. And then when the real game begins, when the games actually count, we go to something that he didn't practice all summer, which is put him on the inside in the slot and bench a third round pick who mainly is for the slot position just for him to not play the slot position.
Yeah.
Well, what are we doing? It's just
You tell me. I really wish I knew what we were doing because it doesn't make any sense.
when asked about it, Dable said, just to get ready for the first game, we thought it was the best thing for us. Is it going to say the same? Probably not. Flott will probably play more on the outside, but this is what we thought was best for the first game.
I need a reason why
Why?
you thought this was better for the first game. You can't just say this is better for the first game. What is better for the
What,
first game?
what was better? Did you not feel comfortable with Phillips? I he
I
Phillips
would
played
respect
well.
if he goes Phillips your rookie. We're afraid of what can happen. We wanted to ease him into it. Finally, answer. Don't like it, but at least okay. There's a thought process behind your decision.
It's
Right
straightforward.
now, it's like what do you mean? Like, what are you seeing? Are you seeing something? Is Phillips not up? Is he was overrated in the draft? Like, what's wrong with him? That's
He
what my
caused a
mind is.
fumble.
Yeah, he played good when he was on the field, but like, not is it a stamina thing? Consistency? What is it? What's wrong with him that he can't stay out there for an entire drive?
And I think that just to wrap up this whole segment, it's like everything we've seen in preseason and and training camp and everything. We did not see that whatsoever. Whether it's positions being played, deep balls down the field on offense, all that combined with that we're doing the same crap as last year, aka Jones just predetermining where he wants to go with the ball. Brian, I think it's just the real question is we can talk about concerns and certain positions and players, being and playing different roles or not playing well. I think just the main question to just wrap all this up. When is this all going to stop? We have sat here since last year together, since that Raiders game or Washington game, and we've wondered when is this pain going to stop? We have been the worst team in the NFL, even though I may not say so record wise.
No,
Been
we
the
are.
we've been the worst team in the NFL for the past 2 years.
Cleveland Browns went 2 years and won one game, and we're still a worse organization than they are.
And why? Because they've had some fight. They put up points. This Giants team was the only team this weekend not to score double digits. Even no, the Panthers scored a touchdown. The right? No. Yes.
I think we're the only team not to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I know that.
And I don't know because Panthers scored 10 points. We were the only team to score less than 10 points. Neither a touchdown either, like you just said. So we
Especially
can,
when you have an offensive guru in Brian Dable as your head coach. I don't care who you put out there. He should figure out a way to score.
yeah, that play calling was terrible. You remember the sequence where he ran two back-to-back quarterback runs at midfield? I was like second. It went from 2nd and 5 to like 4th down on a punt at midfield. Like, are you kidding me? You're running a guy with the ACL. He's barely coming back from an ACL. You have Singleton, you have Tracy, you have Eric Gray. You could run reverses with Robinson and Malik. Really? So everyone is to blame. There's
Yeah.
no offense, defense, special teams. We're not. No one gives a crap. Okay, the punter was Jimmy Gillian. Sure, he had great. I'm not gonna praise our punter for doing a
Special
damn
teams
job.
does nothing. Okay, Graham Cano made 2 field goals. Awesome.
Okay, yeah, that's you're supposed to do your job. You're
The
you're, you're
impact our
kicking.
special teams had this entire game.
Yeah, like it's just everyone is to blame. Washington. We're gonna preview them in our next episode, Thursday or Friday, depending on their schedule. This is the last straw. If he honestly, even if we win, and it's not because and puts up like average numbers, there's just no way you going to Cleveland with him, especially if you lose to Washington and it's because of him. Less than 5% chance he plays week 3. We just can't do it. I've given up, and it's like this is not even an overreaction, Brian. We're not overreacting. It's just literally we're doing the same thing and expecting something different,
Yeah.
and it's nothing.
It's
Not gonna
it's we've
change.
changed everything else around him.
What more does he need?
Different.
What more does he need?
Sorry. At some point, no team is perfect. You have to make up for it at some point, and he can't. He's not good enough to.
And it's just I don't. Part of me is sad because I don't know what he needs more. I don't know what he needs. He has everything.
A new job, a new line of employment is what he needs. Right? Go back to Duke and go be a quality control coach or something for Cutcliffe. That's what you're gonna do. And try to make it back to the league as a coach because you're not good enough to be quarterback.
He just needs to go somewhere where he's just given the backup job and just let basically Zach Wilson
Why?
just
I wouldn't feel comfortable with him as my backup.
develop. I don't. Literally, the
What?
positive thing
I
is just
want him
develop him.
nowhere near a young quarterback.
Oh, definitely not.
Touch him.
Oh my god, I just can't do it, dude. I think
It's time for him to go to the UFL or go to Canada and play football
yeah,
because you're not
just
doing it here anymore.
DeVito or Lock. Okay, yeah, same thing.
DeVito is fun. That's what I'm saying. Like I've been saying it the entire time. Watching Tommy DeVito is fun because if he sucks, at least he's like somewhat of a funny name. Like, all right, you know what? We suck, but Tommy DeVito's in the mob. Tommy DeVito has the Sopranos music. Tommy DeVito likes chicken parm.
And you know what he's not scared of? Throwing the ball down the field. He may bail out sometimes, but when he's kept clean, he can throw the rock. Drew Lock, yeah. Drew Lock, yeah. Sure, he was bad in the preseason and he got injured, but after what we saw from Daniel Jones, I wouldn't mind Drew Lock either. Just no, give it a shot. So yeah, we'll break down Washington later in the week. Just depressing weekend for the Giants. And yeah. Injury wise, some concerns as well. Darius Slayton is in the concussion protocol. Nick McLeod, knee injury. He is day to day. He might be week to week. We'll see what happens. Gunnar Olszewski had the groin injury. He re-aggravated it during warmups. He is out for weeks. Carter Coughlin, special teams guy, had a pec injury, placed on the injury list. He'll be out for months.
He's done.
Yeah. Linebacker
His
Curtis
career is
Bolton. Curtis
over.
Bolton was signed back to the practice squad. Was released on Saturday, but brought back in replacement of Coughlin, like you mentioned. Yeah. And then we signed receiver Amir Smith Marset to play special teams. Amir Marset, solid guy, 25 years old, 6'1", 185 pounds. Return specialist than anything. He can play offense. He's played for 3 teams in the span of 3 years.
Great.
After Darius Slayton's muffled punt return, safe to say that this was a pretty good decision to sign him, but nothing too inspiring because, yeah, on to Washington. We'll see what happens.
We're on. It's pull Belichick. We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Washington.
Yeah,
And
well, we'll see what
what
happens.
one game, maybe it's just a bad game. They can roll, but there's not much to be happy about.
Just a rough weekend for sports for us, Brian, as we shift our focus to week one of the NFL season, as the rest of the week one slate, I should say. Before we get into college, Brian, was there any major takeaways from week one? Any games that stood out to you the most? I know you have we had the primetime games that happened on Thursday and Friday and Monday night. But
Kirk Cousins might not be the answer in Atlanta. I was very big on the Falcons going a year. I bet on them, and Kirk Cousins just pulled out a bad performance. Maybe it's just him coming off the ACL injury, or no, meniscus injury, right? Or was it his meniscus he tore?
I believe so. That is correct.
Yeah, like maybe it's just knocking the rust off. Because if that Falcons offense looks like that, it's going to be another long season in the NFC South in general because not much of anything's going on down there.
Michael Penix is waiting. He's waiting.
Penix, love him to death, but I think it's early.
Yeah, I would definitely not play him week two, but he's if things continue to go to crap, he's still there. He's waiting in the wings. Steelers won that game 18-10. Chris Boswell 6 field goals. So they didn't score a touchdown either, but at least they scored 18 points. So congrats to Pittsburgh, man. The win. One game for me that stood out, the Dolphins, and I want to give my props to Miami and Tyreek Hill and his
Oh my god,
teammates.
yeah.
That was I'm sure you saw the camp footage. That was hard to watch. Just like most spotty cam footage that comes out is. Um, I understand that Tyreek was irritated but he should have been because I wouldn't really like that someone is knocking on my car window like that repeatedly and acting the way they did. But the
Yeah.
way they forced him to the ground, that was just one of the scariest things to see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but shout out to his teammates, Calais Campbell, especially for helping, stopping on the side of the road to try to help his teammate out.
Yeah, that's a good teammate. That's
Hmm.
the guy right there. Like, all right, that's
Yeah,
my guy. He's going to bat for me. And like he was very calm. I don't understand what the cops' problem was with him.
just trying to get
Just
attention.
just explain the situation. Don't be on a power trip. Just
Yeah,
be like, okay, this is what's happening. Just have a rational conversation and
yeah.
don't escalate it to this point.
Just trying to act like a big dog when in reality, dude, just do your job. You are not doing your job. You're trying to act like you're the main thing in this world, and
Cops like that give good cops a bad reputation. Not all
Mhm.
cops are bad. These guys are just asses. You have them in every single line of work.
So I mean, it was hard to watch. But thank God Tyreek got out of there safely. Was able to get to the game, caught a touchdown, and that
I was gonna say
touchdown.
it's the Scotty Scheffler thing when he got arrested and like play like one of the best rounds of golf he did. Tyreek Hill's like, all right, I'm gonna get arrested and score tutties.
That celebration he did too, where Waddle kind of handcuffed him.
That was
That was
perfect,
that was
perfect.
perfect. I love you, Tyreek. Good stuff. Miami played well. Led Tua Tagovailoa, 336 yards, one touchdown. Let the 8-play, 31-yard drive in the final minutes to get a game-winning field goal from Jason Sanders. So the Dolphins beat the Jaguars 20-17. Um, any other games, Brian, that out to you, bud?
Cardinals showed that they can be decent. You know, they just can't complete games, but you know they played a really hard fought game against the Buffalo Bills.
Mhm,
Um, Chargers looked good. J.K. Dobbins looks like he didn't even have a major knee injury last season. So,
mhm,
you know, a lot of good, a lot of things unexpected. A good week one in the NFL here.
100%. One more takeaway from me. Panthers 47 points allowed. And we thought Daniel Jones is bad. He wasn't the only bad quarterback on Sunday. Bryce Young was a number one
Yeah, like at least
overall pick.
see that at least like Bryce Young, you traded up, you lost multiple first round picks. Oh, and DJ Moore. Like, imagine if we had traded Odell Beckham Jr. and multiple first round picks for Daniel Jones.
Things would have been worse for us. We would probably be like, shit.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's not act like it was all Bryce Young's fault. He was under a lot of pressure, especially from Chase Young. But from a guy that is the first round number one overall pick that should have had like a high ceiling. Plus, they have a new head coach and Dave Canales and weapons around him like Deontay Johnson. Definitely, the Panthers have some stuff to work on offensively and defensively. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, props to Jordan Mason, by the way. The 49ers played a great game last night against the
Big
Jets.
fantasy waiver wire pickup to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with McCaffrey potentially missing more time. He's going to be a name to watch.
Kind of weird how Mason said that he knew he was starting Friday.
Yeah. How did Mason know? But we maybe I kind of lost it because I was working all day Saturday. Kind of watched the games, went to bed early, and was just at the parking lot all day Sunday. I didn't see any report that McCaffrey was even banged up until Monday. At the notification he's out. I'm like, okay, like I know I have not been following closely all weekend because I've just been busy with football and work and everything. But like, I feel like I would have heard about this.
Exactly. Like you would have heard like a notification, but we didn't get it till like an hour before kickoff. So it's just like,
Like, all right, I'm ready to watch the game. Like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I already have my bet the 49ers and like all this stuff. Like, what do you mean McCaffrey's out?
just like a lot of
Like,
people.
what do you mean?
A lot of people, I'm sure, bet on McCaffrey, and they were probably like, "Oh crap!" But okay, well, look, I don't mean to continue to be negative, um, but I'm sure you have some things to say, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happened on Saturday?
Oh, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish suck. Is what happened. It's like it's the same old story. It's the same old story with Notre Dame. Every single year, it's the same thing. All right, they play well. Oh my God, bright future. We're finally turning it around. And then you lose to Marshall, or you lose to Stanford at home, or you lose to Northern Illinois when you're a 30-point favorite. I mean, it's the biggest issue with Notre Dame has always been this thing that we're overrated, all right? That's always been a complaint. The Irish are overrated and all this stuff. But you know what? Prove them right. We are overrated. We are. We're not at the same level as Georgia and all the top 5 teams in the country. We're not at that level because those teams don't lose to Northern Illinois. Those coaches get their guys hyped up. And listen, I understand. They had a hard-fought win against Texas A&M. That is a letdown spot. If they come out, it's an emotional victory, a very emotional game. If they come out flat in the first couple quarters, I get it. It happens. That sort of stuff happens when you play high-intensity games like that. But good teams can recover and make adjustments. Like, all right, we got punched to the mouth. We came out flat. We're going to do this, and then they win the game by 40. All right, happened Notre Dame last year. They beat up on Navy 50-12, came back in the next game in Notre Dame Stadium, and were shaky at first. But they rebuilt themselves like, all right, we're fine, and they won the game. This game, Northern was in it for the entire time. The Irish being outplayed by a school in the MAC that had never beaten a top 10 opponent. And it's the same thing year in and year out. Riley Leonard, not the future at quarterback. I'm sorry. We saw what he did against Texas A&M. Sure, he was really gutty, really, confident. Look at his stat line. And you could write that off as, okay, it was an intense environment, a hard-fought defense. That's what I was saying. I'm like, all right, once you get some easier opponents in front of your combine, the numbers will be there. I looked horrific against Northern Illinois. 2 bad interceptions. Like, if you look at the second interception, he has, I think, Mitchell Evans sitting wide open for a first down, which would have iced the game. Instead, you arm punt it. Why are you throwing a deep ball on 2nd and 1? Run the ball. That's Notre Dame thing. Run the ball. Throw the ball downfield. What are we doing? That's the thing on the coach. Ryan Leonard can't throw his ball more than 20 yards. All right, he's not the answer. He's going to be yet another guy like a Jack Cohen or a Sam Hartman. Who, sure, he might put up good numbers, but he's not the quarterback to get us over the hump. He's not going to be able to go into a place like Tennessee or Penn State during the college football playoffs, even if that's even still on the table for the Irish right now, because it might not be. Because in my opinion, they have to go 11-1 to even consider making it. And who even knows if they can win a game against Purdue? They couldn't beat Northern Illinois. They couldn't get Notre Dame, you can't tell the story of college football without bringing up this team. Eat a MAC team. At the end of the day, Marcus Freeman's a great head coach, right? He's a great recruiter. He's a player's guy. At what point do we start questioning, is he just Brian Kelly 2.0? All right? He has a signature win. He has a good performance in top 25 teams. But he just has these brutal losses year in and year out, like the Marshall loss, the Stanford loss. Now this one. You guys never seem ready after the next game. We saw it in the Duke game last year. After the loss to Ohio State, which, by the way, was on the coaching staff because there's only 10 guys on defense, and no one seemed to notice that loss. They came out flat against Duke, and sure, they ended up winning that game, but they came out flat. Why is this team constantly under-prepared to play their opponents, right? That's what we got to look at Marcus Freeman and be like, what are you doing? Sure, you're good at recruiting and stuff, but why are these guys not ready to go year in and year out? It's Notre Dame has a long, hard question because at the end of the day, I don't even know where to go anymore. I don't.
The Irish had a 14-13 lead in the fourth quarter, and they had possession of the ball. Went from their 25 to Northern Illinois' 49-yard line, and then you mentioned the Riley Leonard interception where he launched a pass deep down the middle for Chris Mitchell, which was picked off and returned for 33 yards to the 50-yard line with 5 minutes left to play. When asked, he said, quote, "It was a completely bad read. That single high safety was attached to the inside post. I thought he wouldn't attach again. Bad eyes, bad feet, bad ball. That resulted in the pick. Can happen. Completely my fault." The Huskies drove down the field, drove to the 19-yard line, set up the game-winning field goal. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm still learning the college game. This is mostly all you.
Notre Dame.
I just know the main statistics. I mean, you guys paid them $1.4 million to come to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
This is their Northern Illinois' first non-conference win against a ranked opponent since 2003 when they beat 21 Alabama or 21.
I was 2 years old.
Yeah. This is also their first, like you mentioned, victory over a top 10 opponent. So you guys are 1-1. You guys go to, I think, Purdue.
10-point favorites in Purdue, but I don't even know anymore. I would take Purdue plus 10.5.
So was it just boneheaded decisions that cost the game?
It was just a team that came out. It's a team, they had a really good opening drive when marched on the field, scored a touchdown, and then Northern Illinois gets the ball back, and then they have a fluke play that went for 83 yards for a touchdown. And I'm like, okay, we got punched in the mouth. It happens. We had, the defense just blew the coverage. This happens. It was a dart over the middle. The cornerback just missed him. He had a lane. Took the speed, took him. Happens sometimes. Go out there and respond, and they just never were able to bounce back. I'm like, why? Why aren't they able to bounce back? They should be like, okay, touchdown. Let's go back out there. Instead, it's bonehead decision after bonehead decision. Leonard with the interceptions. Play calling was bad. the passing game is non-existent at this point. And sure, the running game looks semi-decent, but we can't rely on the run. At the end of the day, it's the problem that's been plaguing Notre Dame for years, all right? This is going back 20, the late 2000s. No elite quarterback. A quarterback, like a Joe Burrow in 2019, a CJ Stroud for Ohio State, a Tua for Alabama. Those guys could take over the game and win it themselves. Notre Dame hasn't had that quarterback, and they still don't have that quarterback. And Riley Leonard isn't going to be that guy. He isn't. So what are we supposed to do? Just let him go out there and just have another wasted season? I much rather throw in, CJ Carr or Kenny McKinstry. Those are guys with a lot of hype. Those are 4-star recruits coming out. Let them start, because what are we going to do here? Like, let's say Notre Dame rows off and goes 11-1. All right, cool. We went 11-1 with the loss in North Illinois. We might sneak into the playoff as like the 10 or 11 seed. So go on the road to an SEC school, and then what?
No.
Lose again in the postseason. Again, being all right, the Irish are good, but not good enough. Notre Dame seriously needs to look within and be like, all right, we're good. But it's not to the standard that we should be. We need to be better. How do we get to being better? What is on this team that's preventing us from getting better? Stop spinning your tires and settling for being good enough, all right? That's not what Notre Dame does. Notre Dame is national championship or bust. And right now, this team's not good enough to win a national championship. So at that point, scrap it and build it so it can be that good team. It can be a dominant force in the 12-team playoff. It can go into Tuscaloosa or go into Columbus or the Big House and have a meaningful chance to beat the best teams in the country.
So hypothetically, you guys lose to Purdue. Are we done?
Freeman should be fired right then and there.
But your playoff chances are pretty much slim. Well, not slim, but they've gone down at this point in time.
Well, right now they're slim because like Notre Dame can rally and be 11-1, and really you're going to put an 11-1 team that went on the road and beat USC and Texas A&M. Like those are two decent schools. You're going to leave them out? No, they're going to get their shot to play.
But if you lose to Purdue,
it's over. Yeah, you can't have two bad losses like that. Like if you go 11-1, you can kind of play off and North Illinois was a fluke, emotional kind of loss.
Yeah.
If you're a Notre Dame fan, there's still a lot of questions that come out of it, and it's still a very bad loss. But in the grand scheme of things, you can kind of be played off like that. But I still don't. I'm worried about this Irish team, no matter what.
I think, yeah. I was gonna say from my college football takeaways, from what I've actually watched, Syracuse, Kyle McCord, Heisman candidate.
Kyle McCord is an interesting case because he wasn't terrible at Ohio State. He just couldn't beat Michigan, and the fans hated him for it.
Yeah, he played pretty decently, and now he's at Syracuse dicing people up in the ACC, which is great.
Ohio State wins the Michigan game last year. McCord's still at Ohio State right now.
Oh, yeah, because they wouldn't go get Will Howard, who, let's be honest, he's from Kansas State. You know how that's not much of an upgrade. Okay, like Kansas State to Ohio State, like good for the Buckeyes to get a quarterback, but like not much of a crazy.
You're not jumping as much as you think you are.
Talent-wise, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado.
Yeah, that's the bad look for Dion coming up here. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to say Shedeur is being questioned, but this loss has some question marks. Like, we saw Shedeur leave the sidelines early. Like 2 minutes left in the game, he's on the side anymore. What are you doing, dude? You have to be out there. Then we saw the Dion thing of he lets his son's song play instead of the fight song. Like that rumor came out. It's like this is coach's son stuff. This is stuff that annoys you when you're 12 years old. Sanders is a great player. He's effortless. I'm just worried that having Dion as your daddy be the coach for so long of you is going to affect you mentally. And it's a double-edged sword because yes, Deion Sanders is a great NFL cornerback. He knows the NFL. He knows what it takes to get there, and that can help you a lot. At the same time, how much special treatment has Shooter Sanders got because he's Deion's son?
And I think the answer to that is too much because even in interviews when he's asked about what went wrong, he continues to not take credit for not or take responsibility for it. Whether it's blaming the offensive line, not directly, but indirectly, he is doing so. Travis Hunter being frustrated on the sidelines when he's not getting the football, a certain way. Um, this whole team is a mess. An interesting
Circus.
case to follow, but just a mess in general.
It's an absolute circus, is what it is. Like people are gonna wonder why did it work out at Jacksonville State and not Colorado? Because Jacksonville State had 2% of the media attention Colorado gets.
Hmm.
Like Jacksonville State could kind of be, he had Deion Sanders as head coach, but he could be kind of quiet there. Like the only real attention you ever saw was when they're in a championship game or the documentary that Barstool made about it. And Barstool made a documentary because Deion was working for them at the time.
But yeah, it's just I know Nebraska's a good team. They beat them last year, but you know the defense just held things down against Colorado. Nebraska did. So now they're 1-1. Colorado is, and they head to Colorado State for that rivalry game, which is going to be a good one. But
They're actually
after,
rebuilding in NCAA right now. The Colorado
really,
State Rams. Yep, I picked them. I'm rebuilding them.
as much as I'm unhappy with the two players we talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
they actually might beat Colorado.
Yeah,
They almost beat them last year
and it's at home this year. I think.
at their
I think they're in
at their
Colorado
house.
State.
They're
Colorado is a very top-heavy team. Like you have Travis Hunter. I know Sanders has some questions mentally, but he is still a very talented quarterback. He is good. He puts up very good stat lines. Outside of like that, and like a few other guys, like team. There's not like a full roster of guys who's going to be good. It's just
Mhm.
a few very talented players, and then a bunch of average to below average guys.
Yeah, but I think as fun as it was to see football back on our screens, it was a very rough weekend for the both of us. Um,
Yeah, it's painful.
so hopefully, week
Hopefully,
two
week
is
two and week three, such week two is better.
yeah, me too. We can hope. And even when if the Giants do win on Sunday against Washington, I think we'll still come back here and have our concerns and have our doubts because it is Washington and Jones is 5-1 against the Commanders in his career. So if he wins Game 6 or if he gets a 6 win against them, we're not going to be singing his
Yeah,
praises. I feel
it's
like
like
as he's supposed to do.
it's like how Drew Brees kind of always beat Brady for a time, and no one would ever say that Drew Brees is better than Tom Brady. It's like no, for some reason, Drew Brees just plays really well against the Patriots. It's like for some reason, Daniel Jones can just beat the Commanders. We don't know why; they just can.
I saw a tweet that kind of sums this whole Giants debacle this past week. It was from Dan Schneider. Shout out to him. Great reporter.
Oddly enough,
Huh?
Dan Schneider, the name.
Oh,
What a coincidence!
let's not go down that avenue. Uh,
The Washington owner. There's two Dan Schneiders, and they're both horrible people. The Washington owner and the idiot in Nickelodeon.
then the actor, yeah, thank God it's Schneider too. Imagine if it was Snyder, that would. Yeah, yeah. Okay. He tweeted this. He said, "quote Even if you want to blame Dable for Jones's attitude, at least ask yourself why Dable felt comfortable calling more aggressive games for Tyrod and even DeVito. But be careful, because that question leads to another and takes you down a darker path. why the Giants went into 2024 with Daniel Jones as QB1. And that, my friends, is a question that me nor Brian have an answer to.
Nope. Well, I do. It's his contract. They couldn't get out of that contract. It was why he's on the roster. Why there's no backup? Why there's not a better backup? I can't tell you.
Joe Shane, he had the opportunity to bring Mike Tyrod. Didn't want to pay him the amount he wanted. Now he's on the Jets. And here we are, stuck with Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. And that, my friends, is episode 22 of the Third Tip Podcast. We appreciate you guys always for watching and listening. We passed 100 subscribers on YouTube, so thanks to you guys for that. Let's go to 200 now. Let's work our way up there, and then you can catch
get some positive out of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, all right, well, if you want therapy, come talk to us.
Exactly. Drop your comments, any concerns you have about the Giants. You guys have a lot of concerns about it. Maybe. You know what? One more positive before we leave. The uniforms didn't look that bad. I got used to it. Okay. All right. Episode 23 will be released later this week. We'll break down the Washington Commanders game. Talk about the Irish against the Purdue Boilermakers, and get you set for week 2 of the NFL regular season. Let's hope things kind of slow down. Let's try to enjoy every week. Doesn't have to be about the Giants, but let's enjoy football, because sooner or later we'll be sitting here in January and we'll be sad that the season's over. So let's enjoy football.
Tired of football already. Corner, and there's a game coming up on Thursday. We'll be playing.
Yeah.
It isn't out yet, but I've been playing this for months. It's hysterical. You'll love it.
Okay. I'm excited now. I don't know what you have planned, but I'm excited.
It might be one of the dumbest things I've ever thought of.
Fair, man. Hey, none of your ideas are dumb, buddy. I get surprised.
This one's amazing.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening. Catch our audio episodes on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm Nate. That's Brian. No matter what happens, go Giants. But a rough start to week 1 to the NFL season after that week 1 performance against the Minnesota Vikings. See you guys.